Welcome to This Explainer, brought to you by Forge College. Let's just jump right in, shall we? In our last lesson, we unpacked all the security and UX considerations for ERC 4337, but today we're shifting gears to tackle a really fascinating challenge in the Solana ecosystem. We're going to explore exactly how we safely bridge the chaotic outside world to the highly strict, organized world of the blockchain. It's time for a deep dive into off-chain event systems and webhook patterns.
So what is the core problem we're actually trying to solve here? Well, blockchains, by their very design, are highly deterministic and completely isolated. They like rules. They love absolute order. Meanwhile, external Web 2 data, things like real-time price feeds, API updates, or network alerts, that stuff is incredibly messy and unpredictable. To make these two totally different worlds talk to each other, we have to build a precise engineering assembly line to process that chaotic data before it ever touches our on-chain program.
Here is the blueprint for our off-chain listener assembly line today. We'll start with taming the webhook chaos, move into authentication, tackle idempotency and double dipping, look at batching and traffic control, cover observability and safe retries, and finally end with the blockchain delivery.
Taming the webhook chaos.
At its core, a webhook is actually incredibly simple. It is literally just an external system tapping your server on the shoulder to say, hey, something just changed. It's what we call a push-style HTTP callback. Instead of your system having to constantly poll and ask a service if, say, a Pyth price updated, the service just efficiently pushes an alert directly to you the exact second it happens.
But here's the catch. We absolutely cannot just throw that raw tap on the shoulder directly onto the blockchain. We have to follow 5 exact steps to reliably transform these raw signals into clean, deterministic on-chain data. First, we receive the webhook. Second, we deduplicate it. Third, we enrich it with any needed on-chain context. Fourth, we batch events together. And finally, we submit. So let's break down exactly how we protect and manage this pipeline.
Section 2. Authentication, the first defense.
You can kind of think of this phase as a very strict bouncer at an incredibly exclusive nightclub, and this bouncer does not mess around. When a webhook arrives, we have to authenticate it instantly. We do this by verifying HMAC signatures hidden in the headers or by validating against known public keys. If someone tries to sneak a fake payload past us, no way. We immediately reject it, we kick out bad actors before they even enter our internal system. But we always make sure to log the failure with an event ID just so we can figure out exactly who was trying to crash our party later.
Section 3. Idempotency and double dipping.
Okay, idempotency. It's a big engineering word, but what does it actually mean? It is essentially a guarantee that processing the exact same event multiple times has absolutely no additional effect beyond that first processing. Think of it as your ultimate defense against accidental duplicate transactions on the Solana network. If an external system accidentally sends a buy signal twice in a row, idempotency ensures your program only actually buy it once. So how do we actually pull off this magical double dip prevention? We compute a stable hash. Usually that means combining something like a feed ID with a timestamp to create a totally unique idempotency key. When an event comes in, we check a durable store like Redis to see if we've seen this specific key before. If it's brand new, we mark it as in flight. If it's already marked as done, we just ignore the duplicate completely and move on. It is an incredibly elegant way to keep our data perfectly clean.
Section 4. Batching and traffic control.
When it comes to managing all this traffic, we essentially have 2 main options: immediate submission versus batching. Think of batching like a carpool. If you have 50 high-frequency price ticks all going to the exact same place, you don't send 50 separate cars, right? That would cause a massive traffic jam. Or, in Solana terms, you'd get account contention and rack up huge transaction fees. Instead, you put them all in one carpool batch. On the flip side, if it's a critical threshold alert like a liquidation warning, you don't wait for the carpool, you submit that immediately.
Because of this, the type of incoming event dynamically dictates our traffic control. For a high-frequency tick, we buffer and batch. For a single threshold alert, we process immediately. And for an admin config change? Well, that requires strong authentication and often a manual gate before submission. Structuring things this way ensures our off-chain listener is smart, highly efficient, and really cost-effective.
Section 5. Observability and safe retries. Look, in any engineering system, things occasionally break. To handle transient failures, we use a strategy called exponential backoff with jitter. If an RPC node randomly goes down and our transaction fails, we don't just blindly spam the network every single millisecond. We retry, wait a bit, retry, wait a bit longer, and we add slight randomness, that's the jitter, to smooth out the load on the network. But let me give you a very strict warning right here. This strategy is only for transient RPC failures. If the blockchain rejects your transaction because your data is fundamentally invalid, that is a deterministic failure. Do not retry that. Just fail fast, log it, and figure out what went wrong. And to actually figure out what went wrong, you need structured logging. These are the mandatory fields you absolutely must log: event ID, received timestamp, validation status, idempotency key, batch ID, and the transaction signature. This trace is your absolute ground truth. It literally lets you follow a single event from the exact millisecond the webhook tapped your server on the shoulder all the way to its final, pristine confirmation on the blockchain.
Section 6, the final blockchain delivery.
All right, before we hit send and ship this data, we have to talk about credential management. This is an absolutely critical security warning. Always use securely stored, tightly scoped signer keys. Never, ever store raw, all-powerful private keys in plain text environment variables. You want to use a secrets manager or hardware-backed key storage for this. If your off-chain listener ever gets compromised, you want to make sure you've minimized the blast radius so an attacker can't just drain your entire protocol.
So, we've walked through authenticating incoming webhooks, ensuring strict idempotency, managing our traffic with smart batching, and shipping it all securely. It's quite the assembly line. And honestly, what's amazing is that students in the various Forge College learning programs absolutely love physically building these exact listeners. It is incredibly rewarding to watch that messy, real-world data transform into pristine on-chain state using this very architecture. Which really leaves just one question.
If you want to put these concepts into practice, you should absolutely visit forge.college to start building your own on-chain data infrastructure today. There is so much more to explore, but before you go, I want you to think about this. The very next time you see a real-world asset price update on-chain, ask yourself, exactly how many bouncers did that data have to pass just to get there? Thanks so much for joining me today for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.